What is up, girls and boys? I have something to show y'all. And no, you know what? I mean, honestly, this video is gonna be. I'm trying to make this short, quick, and kind of little and informational, thorough, kind of. But pretty much this is about the Malister gear at level 50, right? Um, so yeah, you hit Dragonspyre, you do the Great Spire, you beat Malister. You kind of beat Arc 1, right? And he drops gear. So I want to say, boom, today I finally did it. Yes, I got the full Malister gear. So I'm going to just show you the balance. I'm on a balance. So this is the hat. This is the robe, boots, wand, a theme, and ring. I did not do the amulets and I didn't do the decks. And I kind of just want to get into this real quick with the gear and then the wand. And then the amulets, I'm kind of just going to skip over, and the decks, I'm going to kind of just skip over because I'm tired. Yeah, I'm really tired. So with the gear, right? So I'm gonna put this in tiers, right? So the Crassus Hood of Hidden, right? I'm gonna call this a tier 2 gear, right? And the reason why I say it's a two tier gear is because because when I notice when I do Malister, he actually drops the Crassus Hood of Hidden, but I think it was the damage and defense that was low, right? So I call that the tier 1. So if that makes sense. So like he will drop this, but the damage and the defense is lower and it doesn't give you a spell. So I call that the tier 1, right? So then you have the tier 2, and then you need, in order to make in order to make this or get lucky enough to actually get this drop to make the tier 3, um you have to get that hood to make the hat, right? So that's the whole thing about this dungeon is you literally have to get this, you have to make it, and then you get the tier 3. But it says any Malister hat. Now I tell you now, while doing this dungeon, I've got so many hats. And I don't know if the game was like, hey, this is not part of Malister's hat. So I'm like, okay, so boom, continue to grind, right? So that's the whole little thing about this dungeon that, you know, no, do not, do not grind for this gear. But I'm gonna get into that later and give you guys my overall experience about the dungeon, right? So you have the hood. Here's the hood. Give you a spell. Pretty cool. Not bad. Not bad. To tier 3, as you can see on the left side. Um, it's a little difference. You get pip chance and cool, right? Here is the robe. Robe is actually better. The tier 2 robe is better. Plus 4 damage if you wanna, max your damage, right? And the boots. Boots right here. Yep, boots. Boots, little tier 3 boots are a little better. And with the wands, right? It seems like wands in this game, and I can show you right here too because here I have a wand. I have the spell Sword of the Steward, not Sword of the Steward. So the wand I have is a tier 2, and this is a tier 3. But in order to make this, you're gonna need 9 wands. So good luck getting that because it's not easy. It's not like it's just a simple drop, right? And here are the Athames. And, you know, one thing with the Athames, the Athames, when you fight the elephants, the Gurtok elephants, they drop a theme in a ring. And sometimes they drop, I'm gonna call it a tier 1, because I think if they drop the tier 1, they remove like the mana usage. One of those, pip chance, damage, just one of those. I think it's the mana usage or something like that, right? I think it might, I don't know, I forgot, right? So that's the a theme, and that's the ring. I have three other wizards I'm gonna show you that also have the gear, and I'm kind of just gonna, show them this is what the stats look like for balance. Kind of just want to, show you guys that this is the gear, you know, and this is maybe what it looks like, you know what I mean, kind of thing, if you want to see it. But yeah, be right back. All right, here is the ice. I'm gonna make this quick. Here is the hat, robe. This is the boots, tier 3 hat or tier 3 wand. And it's like, oh, why are you not using Skyward Hosta? You could just stitch it. Well, it's like, yeah, I can, if I have crowns. But I just like the way this looks. So that's the reason why I'm just using it, you know what I mean? A theme. And the ring. And for all the wizards, I didn't do the amulets. I'm not gonna do them. But that's the ring. And here is the gear right here. And I think I'm just gonna show you maybe a little comparison of what the tier 2 gear is, pip chance, you get a spell. Um, yeah, I mean, this is kind of what it looks like. Tier 3. And yeah, alright, so on to the next wizard. Alright, here is the fire wizard. Yes, fire right here. Boom. Hat, robe, boots, wand, tier 3 wand. It's a pretty good one. I like it. The theme, the ring. Here are the stats. I guess you can kind of cut out the jewels for all the wizards. Don't look at that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Blah. Um, Pierce, gives you Pierce. Um, yeah, so this is the fire one, and then I'm going to show you the last one. And then I'm just going to kind of give you my overall experience about the Great Spire and just about doing the dungeon in general. Alright, be right back. Alright, last but not least is the Storm Wizard. And yes, all these wizards are level 54. So here's the hat, the robe, the boots, tier 3 wand, a theme, ring, stats. Um, so yeah, I did it. I pretty much did this dungeon probably 50 plus times, lost my mind, and lo-fi music saved my life. Seriously, because it's like, Nav, why did you do this? Why did you grind the gear and, you know, pretty much waste my time, right? And I don't know, I think it's one of those things where it's like, I see this and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what can I make from here? It's like, oh my gosh, a Malister gear set? Yeah, that sounds good. Then you like look at the gear, then you're like, huh, this gear's not bad. This, you need these things, and then it's like, okay, the robe is not bad either, and then the boots, and then the wands are pretty good. Then you got the theme, and then you have the rings. And I just did it. I was like, man, I just want to, do it. I just want to, like, I guess like a small goal, um, of just like, yeah, I want to do it. But I realized how much doing it, you're losing your brain. Like I literally lost my brain. Like I was just listening to music and doing the dungeon over and over. With all the other four wizards, literally like right here. They all have the gear. You know what I mean? And luckily I had a little strat while going in to make the dungeon a little faster with some of the wizards taking on the bosses and the minions. Not really skipping anything, kinda. But I got, the head, the hat, the robe, the boots, the wand, the athame, the ring. You get it all from doing Malister. And then, the amulet and the dex, you do it somewhere else in Dragonspyre. And I'm just not gonna do it. I'm tired. I'm ready to move on to the next world. And that kind of sucks about this dungeon is that you hit level 50, and then you look at this, the crafting table, the anvil. You're like, man, I could get gear, and then and I mean, I've played this game for a while, right? So I already, I have a level 138 wizard, so I'm kind of past all these things, right? But maybe for like old players, like I don't know, older or newer players, they're like, man, I want to get this gear, I want to grind it out, and it's because it's worth it. It's not worth it. No, don't do it. The overall experience is, it's kind of just, a waste of your time, really, truthfully, because you could. I'm level 54, you know, and then I could be level 56, and then I could go to Winter Tusk, and then I could craft Winter Tusk gear, and then I could freaking. Or if I don't want to craft Winter Tusk gear, I could go ahead and be level 60, and then you know, do waterworks gear because it's 100% better. That's the thing about this whole dungeon in King's Isle is like why it makes no sense for me. And it makes no sense to me, to add level 50 gear and then it's like, hey, just get 2 more levels and then, you actually get better gear. You know what I mean? So like maybe if they did something, and it's not like no hate or anything. You know what I mean? It's not hate. Um, or anything like that. It's just one of those things where I kind of want to tell people like I kind of you know, don't do it. I suffered so you guys don't have to, kind of thing, right? Because it took me a long time to do it. I did over 50 plus runs, and crazy enough, today, um, I actually got the hat for the storm. That was the only thing I needed out of all the wizards I did. And when I when I got it, I was like, man, I need to make a video about this because I want to show people like, you know, uh, it took a long time. It took more than 3, 4 hours of runs of just repeatedly doing it and not getting anything. And then eventually you do it so many times that you eventually get enough Malister hats, you know, to craft the gear because that's how that's how you do it. I don't think he drops at all tier 3 gear. I'm gonna call it tier 3, right? At all. I don't know. I could be wrong because if anything, he's gonna drop the tier 2 gear, if you're lucky enough, and then you can actually go craft the tier 3, right? So like I don't think you can make the tier, or you can't, he doesn't drop the tier 3, quote, quote. He drops the tier 2 if you're lucky enough that it's the right one, because there's a tier 1, because the tier 1 and tier 2 are slightly different, just with the same name. It doesn't matter, because if you have a tier 1 that says this, you cannot make the tier 3. The tier 2, it has to be this exact one, and then you can make the tier 3. Or you get lucky enough and then you get 9 hats, 9 robes, 9 boots, and then you can make the tier 2, and then you can make the tier 3, right? So that's the kind of the process I went through while doing this dungeon. Now the wand is a good, the wand's good. I like the wand. Tier 3 wand. Um, I'm not gonna do the amulets. I'm not gonna do the decks. I'm just gonna go ahead and move on to the Celestia. But I wanted to make this video to show people like maybe if they're typing on the internet like level 50 Wizard101 gear, where, what's good, what to do. No, the truth is, just hit level 50, continue to level, Celestia. Then you hit level 56, and then you get a chance to make, gear. Or you hit level 60, then you get a chance to, actually farm gear. You know what I mean? So don't be doing this dungeon like I did, and unless you really want to, just unless you find that stuff fun. Me, I found it fun here and there, but I am glad it's over because it took me a span of like 2 weeks on each day. Not each day I was playing every day, but like on the weekends, on some days I was able to squeeze in like an hour or two just to do it and not get lucky, right? But I don't want to make this short. I meant long. I don't want to make it long. I want to make this short and compact so you guys know like, oh my gosh, like yeah, I'm not gonna do it. But at least there's someone out here that actually can show you that, he did it and he's giving an honest review. The overall experience while doing the dungeon, don't don't do the dungeon because, it's just there's just no point. That's the truth. There's no point. You're gonna waste your time. I wasted my time, but that's okay. Um, because at the end of the day, it's just a game. This is just a game. It's fine. I don't hate the game. I'm gonna continue to play it. And yeah, so if you found this kind of helpful, if you have questions about you know the gear or whatever, or anything like that, feel free to ask. But yeah, I didn't cheat or anything. I don't, I didn't cheat. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even, do people even think that you could cheat in Wizards? Or I don't even know. I don't even know how, right? But I literally did all this stuff legit, and the gear has sockets you could use. You could utilize them. The themes you could utilize them, right? And that's it. I mean, other than that, I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a good day.